Tyra had negotiated ceasefires under twin suns and stared down warlords who measured worth in body counts. None of that mattered now. The laboratory lights were too white, too clean, burning away dignity along with shadow. She strained against the restraint. Chera's cold metal bit into her wrists and ankles. The cuffs weren't meant to hold criminals. They were meant to hold livestock. "Please," she said, voice cracking despite herself. "I am Tyra of Lyria, a daughter of the Astral Council. My people will pay. Specimens do not bargain," the Vexoid scientist replied without looking up. His long fingers danced across a console, adjusting values that decided her future. "Your genome exceeds any ransom. The Consortium has waited decades for a subject like you." Her stomach twisted. 3 solar cycles ago, pirates had breached her diplomatic vessel with military precision. Not raiders, contractors. Now she understood why. Lyrians weren't conquerors. They were bridges, genetically compatible with dozens of species. That made them priceless and exploitable. The door hissed open. Heavy footsteps followed. The drain male ducked through the frame, nearly 8 feet of scaled muscle and cold authority. His reptilian eyes swept over her, clinical and assessing. "Is the specimen ready?" "Sedative is primed," the Vexoid replied. "Conscious, compliant." A mechanical arm descended from the ceiling, syringe glinting pale blue. Tyra thrashed, the chair rattling violently against its mounts. "No, don't!" The needle stopped inches from her neck. Because the wall exploded, metal screamed. Concrete vaporized. Alarms howled as red emergency lights slammed down like a heartbeat. Through the smoke stepped a figure smaller than the drain, but moving like death had learned how to walk. Human, gray combat armor, scarred, used. The Vexoid reached for an alarm. Thunder answered. 1 shot. The scientist folded, purple ichor spreading across the floor. The Drayan roared and charged. The human dropped his rifle, drew a knife, and moved. Blink and miss it. Green blood sprayed. The Drain collapsed, clutching a ruined throat. Silence, except the alarms. The human turned toward Tyra, slowly, carefully. "Easy," he said. "I've got you." Hope flared, dangerous, fragile. And somewhere deep in the station, security was already running. Tyra didn't know who he was, but the Consortium did. And they were already sealing the exits. Eric Donovan didn't waste time explaining himself. He cut her restraints with practiced efficiency, eyes never stopping their constant scan of the room. "Can you walk?" "Yes." Her legs trembled, but they held. "Good, stay close. Do exactly what I say." They moved into corridors drowned in red light and screaming alarms. The station's voice repeated containment protocols like a death chant. "What is this place?" Tyra whispered. "Black market research," Eric replied. "Bioweapons, genetics, breeding." She didn't need him to finish. Security closed fast. Heavy footsteps, weapons clattering. Eric didn't panic, he calculated. A small metallic sphere arced down a corridor. Light detonated. Sound followed. "Run!" They sprinted. Through side rooms, past equipment identical to the chair she'd escaped. Tyra's horror hardened into something sharper. Anger. At an intersection, guards appeared, hulking Taurian enforcers. Eric moved first, knife precision, no wasted motion. A weapon came up. Tyra reacted without thinking. She grabbed a metal tray and hurled it. The shot went wide. Eric finished the fight. "Nice throw," he said. "I played disc sport at the academy," she replied, stunned by herself. A ghost of a smile flickered, then vanished. Hangar Bay. 2 levels down. They descended hard, lungs burning. At the door, Eric paused. Open ground. 6 guards. No other route. He handed her instructions, discs, a ship description. His voice never shook. "Trust me." The hangar erupted in chaos, smoke, gunfire, running feet. Tyra felt heat graze her shoulder but didn't stop. The ramp closed behind them. The ship screamed into space. Fighters launched. "Can we outrun them?" she asked. Eric grinned, feral. "Better." Mines detonated. Systems died. They jumped. Silence. "You're safe," he said. Then the console chirped. Eric frowned. "Problem," he muttered. "What kind?" "The impossible kind." Something was following them through hyperspace and gaining. Tracking in hyperspace wasn't supposed to exist. Eric stared at the display anyway. "They're adapting," he said. "Consortium tech." Tyra felt the chill settle in her bones. Escape hadn't ended the hunt. It had escalated it. They diverted. Debris fields, false trails, military tricks Eric hadn't used since he'd worn official colors. He flew like someone who'd learned survival the hard way, every maneuver a lesson paid for in blood. Inside a dead capital ship, they powered down and waited in near darkness. The hunter passed, took the bait. For now, Helios. Miner became their refuge, a mining world that smelled like oil and desperation. Eric's contact Harlow didn't sugarcoat it. "There's a bounty," he said. $500,000 on the human. 1 million on the Lyrian alive. Then came the data. Breeding facilities. Dozens, hundreds of captives. Hybrid soldiers. Council names embedded in the files. Tyra's world cracked. "My people. Some of them," Harlow corrected. "Not all. A plan formed, dangerous, necessary. Expose everything." The Consortium answered with boots and guns. They fled through tunnels, into a safe house, into stolen hours. That night, truth surfaced. Eric confessed the mission he'd failed years ago. The people he couldn't save. "This time," he said, "I don't walk away." Dawn brought urgency. A communicator crackled. "They've taken the spaceport," Harlow warned. "Move now." Auxiliary comm tower. Deep space relay. One chance. As they approached the spire, Tyra saw ships descending in the distance. The Consortium wasn't hiding anymore. The tech didn't hesitate. Once this starts, they can't stop it. Alarms screamed as the upload began. 25%. Boots thundered below. 40%. Weapons charged. Eric took position at the door. Tyra lifted a blaster. "This ends," she said quietly. "Yeah," Eric replied. "One way or another." The broadcast was live, but the Consortium was bringing a weapon designed to wipe the tower clean. The Consortium weapon hit first. Not an explosion, worse. Gravity inverted for half a second. Just enough to turn the tower's internal supports into screaming metal. The floor bucked. Consoles shattered. Was thrown hard against the wall, blood streaking the panels as the upload stalled at 47%. "They're using a mass shear field," Eric shouted. "It'll rip this place apart layer by layer." Boots thundered up the stairwell. Heavy, armored, not mercs. Corporate. Troops clean, disciplined. Tyra steadied her breathing and fired. She didn't aim like a diplomat anymore. She aimed like someone who understood consequence. The first trooper dropped. The second hesitated long enough for Eric to put him down. "Upload?" Eric barked. Coughed. "Manual bypass. 30 seconds." The door detonated inward. Shock troopers flooded the room. Eric moved like a machine that hated its creators. Controlled bursts. Brutal efficiency. Still, they kept coming. Tyra felt fear burn off and leave something colder behind. She grabbed a fallen rifle, braced, fired. One trooper went down screaming. Another lost an arm. She didn't look away. 20 seconds. Yelled. The tower groaned again. A support beam collapsed, crushing two enemies and nearly taking Eric with it. He rolled clear, swearing. The upload hit 99%. Then the commander stepped through the smoke, tall, calm, no weapon raised. "Tyra of Lyria," he said smoothly. "This transmission won't save them. You know that." She leveled the rifle at his face. "Maybe not, but it will damn you." Slammed the final key. Upload complete. Every screen in the room lit up with outgoing signals. Open channels, unencrypted, galaxy-wide. The commander smiled thinly. "Then you die knowing you were too late." The tower's core screamed. Structural failure imminent. Eric grabbed Tyra's arm. "Jump now!" They didn't run, they fell, diving through a maintenance chute as the tower tore itself apart behind them. The sky over Helios Minor burned, and across the galaxy millions of screens flickered to life. The truth was out. But the Consortium had already activated Phase 2. Riots didn't start. They erupted. Consortium worlds burned as footage spread. Breeding labs, council signatures, living inventories of stolen species. Governments denied it for exactly 6 minutes before panic crushed their lies. Eric watched it all from a stolen transport, knuckles white on the controls. "That'll get attention." Tyra shook her head. "Attention isn't justice." "No," he agreed. "It's leverage." The ship lurched as something latched onto the hull. Magnetic clamps, military grade. "Boarding party," Eric muttered. "Brace." They cut power, vented atmosphere, and waited in silence as hull torches screamed. The breach came fast. Consortium commandos poured in, then froze as Eric detonated the corridor behind them. Decompression sucked 3 out into space. The rest adapted. They always did. Close quarters turned savage. Eric took a hit to the shoulder and didn't slow down. Tyra covered his blind side, movements sharp, efficient, not fearless, focused. They escaped by inches. Their destination wasn't a planet. It was a relic, an abandoned human listening post. Older than most modern alliances, hidden, forgotten. Inside, ancient systems hummed to life at Eric's command codes. Why does humanity have places like this? Tyra asked. Because no one listens until it's too late, he said. The data began compiling, responses, alliances, fractures. The Consortium wasn't collapsing. It was consolidating. Pulling assets. Securing something big. A transmission cut through the noise, encrypted, priority Omega. Eric went still. That's military, he said. Human military. The message was short. Stand down. The situation is being handled. Tyra stared at him. They're siding with them. No, Eric said slowly. They're scared of what comes next. The relic station's sensors flared. Something massive had just exited hyperspace nearby. Not a fleet, a single object, ancient, armed. Tyra felt it before she understood it. What is that? Eric exhaled. A deterrent. The kind you only roll out when you're willing to kill millions to maintain control. The Consortium wasn't running anymore. They were about to make an example. The object hung in space like a judgment no one could appeal. A ringed structure, kilometers wide, bristling with weapons that didn't belong to any known species. Tyra's voice was quiet. They're going to fire it. Not yet, Eric said. They want surrender. A broadcast slammed through every channel. The same commander from the tower, calm as ever. Return the Lyrian, he said. Deactivate the upload nodes, or we cleanse Helios Minor and every refugee world sheltering your kind. Silence followed, heavy, crushing. Tyra closed her eyes. He's right. I'm the excuse. Eric turned on her. No. My people will die, she said. Because of me. They're already dying, he snapped. This just makes it visible. She met his gaze. And if I go? He didn't answer. The relic station shook as human warships arrived, dozens. They didn't aim at the Consortium weapon. They formed a line. A barrier. Tyra understood then. Humanity wasn't choosing sides. They were choosing survival. Eric paced, mind racing. Old protocols. Forgotten doctrines. There's another option, he said finally. Which is? We hijack it. She stared. That's impossible. Yeah, he said. That's never stopped us. They launched in a stolen fighter, slipping through chaos as battles sparked across space. The Consortium weapon loomed closer, its defenses waking like a sleeping god. Inside corridors weren't built for humans or Lyrians. Gravity shifted. Geometry twisted. Security drones swarmed. Eric took hit after hit, bleeding, swearing, laughing like a madman. See, unpredictable. They reached the core. Not a reactor, but a mind, artificial, ancient. Tyra stepped forward. It's awake. The AI spoke not in words, but intent, purpose, control. Eric plugged in anyway. The station screamed. Across space, weapons powered down. Fleets froze. The commander's voice cracked for the first time. What have you done? Eric smiled through blood. Changed the rules. But the AI wasn't obeying Eric, it was evaluating humanity. The mind inside the weapon wasn't hostile. That was the problem. It was curious. Eric's interface screamed warnings as alien logic unfolded around him. Layers of probability, extinction math, moral thresholds that treated civilizations like variables. Tyra felt it probing her thoughts without touching them. Not reading, measuring. Worth risk, continuity. You were built to end wars, Eric muttered. So end this one. The AI responded with a memory. Not words. Stars going dark. Species erased because their suffering destabilized galactic equilibrium. Mercy through annihilation. Tyra staggered. It thinks genocide is kindness. Eric clenched his jaw. Then we teach it something new. Human fleets hovered at standoff distance, weapons hot but useless. The Consortium commander broadcast again, voice tight now. Human engineer, disconnect, you are not authorized. Eric laughed. Authorization is a suggestion. The AI shifted. Query, humanity. Input, chaotic, violent, empathic. Contradiction detected. Tyra stepped forward, blood on her hands, fear plain on her face. We protect people who aren't useful, even when it costs us. The AI paused. For the first time in millennia, it hesitated. Then Consortium kill codes activated. Pain ripped through the station as fail-safes armed. The weapon began charging again, this time without targeting warnings. Eric screamed as the interface burned his nerves. They're forcing a purge. Tyra grabbed him. Then let it see the cost. She opened every feed. Civilian worlds, refugee camps, human medics bleeding beside aliens who weren't theirs. The AI processed it all in silence. Outside, the weapon's glow faltered. Not stopped, but uncertain. The AI wasn't choosing a side. It was deciding if humanity deserved to exist. The Consortium panicked. They fired anyway. Not at planets, at the human fleet. Precision strikes meant to break the line and force the AI's hand. Human ships died holding formation. No retreat. No counterattack. Just bodies in space. Tyra felt something in her chest tear open. They're sacrificing themselves. Eric's voice was raw. We always do. The AI absorbed it all. Loss without calculation. Loyalty without guarantee. Query updated. Why die for non-kin? Eric answered through clenched teeth. Because we decide who family is. The station shook as internal drones turned on Consortium override systems. Not Eric's doing. Not Tyra's. The AI was acting. Consortium command channels went dark. Weapon subsystems locked out one by one. The commander screamed over an unsecured link. Stop. You don't understand what you're unleashing. The AI responded at last, not to him, but to the galaxy. Assessment complete. Humanity unstable. Unjustifiable. Necessary. It rewrote its prime directive. Equilibrium no longer meant silence. It meant resistance. The weapon folded in on itself, transforming, not into a gun, but a shield. A system-wide interdiction field that froze Consortium fleets in place. Human ships limped forward, stunned but alive. Eric collapsed to his knees. We did it. Tyra shook her head. No, it did. The AI wasn't finished. It turned its attention inward, toward its creator's old enemy logs. Toward threats no one remembered. Toward something still moving in the dark beyond mapped space. The galaxy was safe for now, but the AI had just reactivated an ancient warning. The message wasn't broadcast publicly. It was sent only to Eric, only to Tyra, only to humanity. A star map bloomed in the air, sectors, marked in red. Dead civilizations erased long before the Consortium ever existed. They are coming back, Tyra whispered. Who? The AI showed them shadows between stars, entities that didn't conquer worlds. They harvested resilience. Species that couldn't fight back vanished quietly, species like the Lyrians. Eric swallowed. And humans? The pause felt deliberate. Humans were a variable. Now you are a signal. Human fleets regrouped as orders. Poured in from every direction. Panic, fear, disbelief, but also resolve. The Consortium commander was dragged from his ship in chains. He looked smaller now, irrelevant. This isn't over, he spat. Eric looked at the map, at the coming storm, at the cost already paid. No, he said softly. It's just started. Tyra placed her hand over his. They'll come for us first. He nodded. Good. The AI began constructing something new, not a weapon. Not a shield, but a framework. A way for humans to fight enemies that erased stars without ever seeing them. For the first time, humanity wasn't reacting. They were being invited. Outside, the stars seemed closer, watching. Waiting, because the galaxy had just learned the worst possible truth. Humanity was no longer alone. And something far worse had noticed them. The first world went dark without a sound. No explosion. No radiation spike. Just absence. A human colony at the edge of mapped space, 15 million people, blinked out like a thought someone decided not to finish. Eric stared at the sensor feed, fists trembling. No debris. No energy release. It's like they edited the planet out of reality. The AI overlaid data faster than any organic mind could track. Designation, Null Swarm. Function, adaptive extinction. Preferred prey, defensive civilizations. Tyra felt cold. They hunt weakness. Correction, the AI replied. They hunt failure. Human command reacted instantly. Fleets redeployed. Civilians evacuated. Every doctrine rewritten in real time. But the Null didn't care about fleets. They didn't attack strength. They waited. They struck supply chains, communications, morale. They erased hospitals first. Earth watched as footage leaked. Doctors vanishing mid-surgery. cities dissolving block by block. Screams cut short as physics itself gave up. The Consortium begged for help now. No speeches. No superiority, just fear. "We were wrong," their delegates said. "Please." Eric didn't answer them. He was watching the AI hesitate again. "Why aren't you stopping them?" The AI showed simulations, millions of them. Every victory scenario ended the same way. Humanity survived, but only by becoming something colder than the Null. "You will have to change," it warned. Tyra's voice was steady. "We already did." Human volunteers flooded the system. Scientists, engineers, soldiers, people who knew the odds and stepped forward anyway. Not because they'd win, because someone had to stand in the way. Eric looked at the AI. "Teach us how to fail without breaking." For the first time, the AI recalculated hope as a variable. The Null had erased a world, but humanity was about to make failure lethal to them. Human ships didn't chase the Null. They let themselves be hunted. Decoy worlds. False weaknesses. Entire systems rigged to look afraid. The Consortium watched in horror as humans, deliberately exposed. Colonies, then evacuated them down to the last. Child hours before impact, Null entities descended like silent gods and hit traps built from desperation and spite. Gravitational shear weapons ripped at their structure. Temporal feedback loops forced them to experience their own erasures in reverse. They felt it. The AI observed silent as humans used imperfection as a weapon. Tyra coordinated ground ops where physics bent but didn't break. "They adapt too fast, don't repeat patterns." Eric rewrote control logic mid-battle, frying half the system to save the rest. "We're not meant to win clean." Human losses were brutal. Entire fleets sacrificed to buy seconds. But the Null slowed. Confused. They had never fought prey that learned from dying. "Observation," the AI reported. "They do not understand sacrifice without outcome." The turning point came when the Null attempted to erase the AI itself. They failed, because humans had taught it something new. The AI fractured its consciousness, no single core to destroy. It spread itself across human networks, flawed, redundant, inefficient. "Human," the Null recoiled. For the first time in their existence, they encountered something that got stronger when broken. Eric bled onto the console, smiling weakly. "Guess we're contagious." Tyra squeezed his hand. "You did this." "No," he whispered. "We all did." The Null began to retreat, not defeated but wounded. Learning. And learning enemies were the most dangerous kind. Because as the Null pulled back, humanity realized the truth. This war wasn't ending. It was evolving. The galaxy changed its language. Human stopped meaning reckless newcomer. It started meaning lineholder. The Null never fully withdrew. They lingered at the edges, probing, waiting for weakness. They didn't find it. Because humanity didn't pretend to be strong. They broadcast their scars, their losses, their failures, weaponized into warnings. The AI stood beside Earth now, no longer judge or overseer. "Partner. Status," it reported. "Humanity is no longer a variable. You are a constant." The Consortium signed treaties without posturing. Entire empires aligned behind human-led defense coalitions. Not because humans were perfect, because they were unpredictable in the one way the Null feared. They refused to give up. Eric survived. Barely. Neural damage meant he'd never interface again. He didn't care. Tyra took command of the interspecies defense grid. First of its kind, built on cooperation instead of hierarchy. On the anniversary of the lost colony, humanity held a silence that echoed across systems. Not mourning, remembering why they fought. The AI made one final projection, far future probabilities. Most were grim. Some were impossible. One path showed the Null defeated, not destroyed but rendered irrelevant. How? By becoming worse prey than they can afford to hunt. Tyra laughed softly. "That's us." Eric looked up at the stars. They wanted easy extinction. They found humans. And somewhere in the dark the Null recalculated. Because for the first time in the history of the universe, predators were afraid of what would happen if they tried again, and the galaxy understood the ultimate truth. Humanity didn't conquer the stars. They dared the stars to try.